into the bottom. Hey, look, it's the good ice. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're doing ice cream, and this is actually the first part of 3 videos I'm going to do. In the end, the last video is going to be ice cream sandwiches if everything goes horribly right. In the meantime, today we're going to make chocolate ice cream. For my birthday, I got an ice cream maker. Ta-da! So I have already tried this thing out a few times. I have tried vanilla, I've made chocolate twice, and I've made Oreo. Tonight I'm going to show you how I made chocolate. I'm making chocolate ice cream that I have attempted twice now. For those who live in the area and know what I'm talking about, it tastes like the chocolate side of a Hoodsie cup. So the chocolate ice cream that I'm making tonight is a custard base. What that means is that it is made with eggs. Now there are 2 regular ice cream types that we make here in America. And that is American style, which is all dairy and is really wonderful, great to make an Oreo cookie base out of. And then there's the French version, which is eggs. Now ice cream is an emulsion like mayonnaise, so an egg is an emulsifier. So using egg in your ice cream literally just makes it richer and holds it together better. And it is that stabilization that we're gonna want for successful ice cream sandwiches when we get there. So let's get started. So here is my Nostalgia brand ice cream maker. And this top piece here is a motor. Okay, then we have our canister that the ice cream slurry goes into. And this is the paddle that churns it. Ooh. Oh. And then this is the ice bucket. So canister into the ice bucket, and then this gets locked in place. Now the fun part about the way this is set up, okay, when it's going, the paddle doesn't move, the whole canister moves. So the motor turns the entire canister while the paddle stays in place, and we continually will feed ice and salt into there, but that comes much later. We have to start by making our custard. So now I'm going to show you how to make the custard. And this is the first step. Now, because we are using egg yolks, we're going to have to cook all of this. But let me show you what ingredients we use and the method. For the first part of this recipe, making our custard, we need 3½ cups of half and half, 1½ cups of sugar, 5 egg yolks slightly beaten, and 1/2 cup of cocoa. For the next part of the recipe, we will need whipping cream and vanilla, but not yet. We'll get to that point. Step 1, we are going to sift our cocoa and our vanilla together, because cocoa has a tendency to clump, and since it has a tendency to clump and we don't want any clumps in our sugar either, which you notice there's a few of them in there, I'm going to get all of that out. So I'm just going to run it real quick through this old sifter I have. It's not a great sifter. This is one of those things where, you know, if we can get enough subscribers, maybe at some point I'll be able to replace this thing. But that right there is why we sifted all of this, because of all the bigger stuff in there. We don't want that in our ice cream. But we just don't want any cocoa lumps in our ice cream. That would be less than desirable. There it is. Our sifted flour and sugar, and we're just going to give that a quick little mix. It's all well combined. Okay, put that to the side. Next, we are going to add our eggs to our half and half. That's just a little cocoa floating in there. There we go. So yeah, there was a little cocoa on my spatula, so that went into the milk. No big deal, I'm about to combine them all anyway. Okay, so eggs and half are combined. Now to the saucepan, I'm going to add my half and half and my eggs. Oh, then I'm going to turn on my heat. And I'm going to slowly add in my chocolate and my sugar. So our custard portion is done. Real quick mention I forgot to put in there. You're going to want to cook your custard until the cocoa and the sugar have thoroughly dissolved and it's slightly begun to simmer a little bit, and you know everything's cooked down. That's all. Now, it almost seems silly, you know, heating up something in order to cool it down and to make it into something cold. But, you know, dealing with raw eggs and for the sake of safety purposes, getting it hot first is not a bad idea. So, now we're going to pour our custard, which is our ice cream base, into this lovely bowl, which I'm going to, oops, right up to the brim, look at that. Which I'm going to set in the freezer, actually not the freezer, I'm sorry, the fridge, for a while, until it cools thoroughly, and then we will do the next part. In order to create ice cream, we are going to stick all of these pieces for the actual creation of the ice cream. So specifically, the canister and the lid. Not the canister and the lid, I'm sorry. The canister and the paddle are going into the freezer to get as cold as possible. Now, by the time our custard cools down, our canister should be nice and frozen also. So I will check back in with you when everything's cooled down. So now we're going to pour our custard base mix into this lovely bowl, and we're going to grab a spatula and make sure we get it all in there. Whoop. Now from here we can start our actual ice cream mix, which just involves 2 more ingredients. To this custard we're going to add 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. That was fun. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and I'm personally using this lovely vanilla that was homemade by my parents. This next. Now, I made sure that all my ingredients were cold, and now we're going to pour this ice cream mix. There you go. So, pulling out our canister, be careful, it's very cold. Now we're going to pour this lovely ice cream mixture into our canister. Now our canister here is going to go back into the freezer until it's cold to the touch, which now that I poured the liquid in, it's not anymore. So we're going to put this back in. It's probably going to be in there for about another hour or so. As soon as it gets really cold, then we'll pull it out, put it in the paddle, and start mixing. Got to get things out of the freezer. Okay, so canister and paddle. Now, also in my freezer is my canister lid, which is also nice and cold. I'm going to put that on there. Now we're going to pour the whole thing into here. Okay, next. Ice. And kosher salt. Motor. Alright, so we're going to put the motor in place. Come on. There we go. So that's in place. And before we plug it in, because it's no on-off switch, once it's on, it's on. Okay, so now we're going to add ice and salt in sort of a layering effect. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to start by putting some of this ice in the bottom. Hey, look, it's the good ice. So now I've got my first layer at the very bottom. Now we're going to add kosher salt to the top of this. Now you can be extremely liberal with your kosher salt because it's going to take 2 to 4 cups, and the more salt the better. If you don't have kosher salt, that's okay. You can use table salt or whatever. The first time I did this, I did it with table salt. Okay, so we're just going to kind of layer it. Ice, salt, and we're going to stop before we get to these. This right here, I don't know if you can see it, right there. That right there is our leak spout. So if I overfill this with ice and it melts, it will leak out. We don't want that. We're almost there. And then it's time. Time to plug in the ice cream machine. I know that's loud, there's nothing I can do about it. Anyway, so at this point in time, whatever ice cream maker you're using, just follow the manufacturer's instructions. Mine has to keep churning for 30 minutes. I'm gonna come in here and grab a long-handled spoon, and I'm gonna poke my ice just to mix the salt and the ice together. And that's literally every like 10 minutes or so I'm gonna do that. So yeah, it's just gotta do its thing, and we'll come back. We're just about done, so let's give this a look. Okay, so step 1, move the motor out of the way and wipe all the salt off the top. Okay. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. And ready? Ooh. So there it is. We have soft serve chocolate ice cream now. And pull the paddle out and put that into our container here. Now we're going to scrape off this lovely chocolate ice cream into this container. Now this has to set for about 6 to 8 hours, so overnight is fine. Only problem with setting ice cream in my house overnight, I have teenagers and they love to get up in the middle of the night and eat. It's stiffer at the bottom because it's just been kind of shoved down there. So we're gonna give this a stir. In 6 to 8 hours we will have hard ice cream, but right now we have soft serve. So I'm going to try a little bite to see if I did as good this time as I've done in the past. This is such good ice cream. I will show you how it looks in the morning, and we'll wrap up this video. This is it for chocolate for tonight. So we'll check back in the morning. I have to put my yes, this is my do not touch this sign. Hopefully they get the message. Okay, so it's the next morning and our ice cream is done, and we're about to find out if any teenagers got into it while I was sleeping. So far it looks good. Don't touch it, teenager sign. Now be careful opening this because it's frozen, and plastic when frozen becomes brittle. You can even see the crack right here. Oh, look at that. Look how pretty this is. This is the first time I've gotten to see it before a teenager has gotten into it. Look at how pretty that is. So let's see. And scoop a little. Oh, look at how hard that is. Oh my goodness. Look at the texture. This looks so good. I freaking love ice cream. Looking at this ice cream, I think it's gonna make terrific ice cream sandwiches. This is so good. So that is how you make chocolate ice cream. This video is a standalone video, or if you hang on for part 2 and part 3, I'm gonna make a batch of cookies, another Toll House video, and then the third video will be me putting this and the cookies together to make ice cream sandwiches. So stay tuned for that if you want. If not, I hope you enjoyed this. Take care, bye. Thank you for watching. Hey, want to subscribe? You can click on the purple Christmas tree. Not sure you want to subscribe yet? You want to see more content first? You can click on this video over here. Until next time, take care and be safe.